That Zubimendi there that turned down your lot?
Zubimendi, yeah, but we don't need him anyway, do we?
No, he turned down your lot, didn't he, Zubimendi?
They don't need him.
Zubimendi, you'll miss him.
We'll turn him down now. We want to come back.
I want to watch your lot in February. Honestly,
Why?
I don't think they're the full. Do you think they're the real thing?
I don't know. I worry about the depth of the squad, but right now, like...
Do you feel like they're getting over the line in Premier League games? Like,
isn't that what you've got to do, though?
Maybe.
Isn't that what you've got to do to
sometimes
challenge? I mean, it's too early to say anything, isn't it? But I don't think anyone is really proving any points at the minute. City don't look great, do they? Klopp must be thinking, one more year, he could have had that this year.
Martin, this has never happened, where the guest comes in before the mob.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Don't worry. Where am I sitting?
You're here, Martin.
I'm here.
Yes. Oh, he's got his little Adidas deal on. He's got his little deal, his little sponsorship deal.
No, you're being silly now.
Can we get some tea? Can we do
it?
Yes, Kieran.
Yeah.
Let me get some.
If you like cold tea, you love Kieran.
What do you want, Martin?
Tea.
English breakfast tea.
English breakfast.
English breakfast tea.
I'll have some ice in my tea as well.
Would you like
Yeah, Kes, can I give you that?
English breakfast tea, please, Kieran. And a peppermint one, please.
My man.
Wow. How's that? That was pure love in that,
That's
Martin.
brilliant.
You've all got autumn colours on. It's like you're all
We're
matching.
autumnal. Yeah,
autumnal. I mean, look at me in my black. I mean,
I know, girl.
Did you? We put a message in the group though.
No, you didn't.
Wear like autumn
No, you
colours.
did not, Jill. I know you didn't put a message on the group.
What brand's it?
Oliver Brown.
Are you not into mini rolls, no? No.
Would you like one of these?
Yeah, I probably will take one. Yeah, thank you.
Have they got jam in?
Mark, how you doing? You're looking smooth.
I am fine. Really
Nice,
fine.
nice.
Very
So
smart.
you've gone in for the mini roll.
Yeah.
Martin, I was reading up. And you were doing...
Oh, brilliant. Thank
Martin,
you
you're doing law studies. Have you got milk, Kieran?
I was studying law, yes. There was...
Just so that you know, Gary read this about 10 minutes ago.
No, did he?
Yeah, he Googled you. I think he's done a lot of work the last few days.
But I didn't realise Martin was doing law studies.
You should have known that. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, you should do
If you follow football...
Yeah, I know that. I knew that.
Did you know that?
He's Googled.
Martin, can you answer the question, please, rather than these?
I realised that
Thank
I
you.
could look into the future because I thought to myself, I might need this when I become manager. And then we played Manchester United. And when you change all the rules. Love it, yeah. Like running after referees, like scaring them to death.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's called gamesmanship or cheating. Depending on which way you look at it.
That was your assistant manager, Martin.
That's right, that's true, yeah.
No, but I was saying, you know, that referee, but he kept running. If he stopped, we would have stopped.
Oh, that's just nonsense.
What, did you chase a referee?
No, but he kept running.
They chased him.
And I was trying to hold the lads back.
And they do.
Really
What was that? When was that, Roy? What was that game?
It was a penalty against... Was it Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was their third...
Nev lunged in from behind.
Yeah.
Was that you, Nev?
Of course, the referee gave it, but then realised that he had made a mistake by giving it. And then they charged after
We
him.
questioned it. No, we questioned it.
And seriously, the fellow was so scared, he said, if you give me a minute to compose myself, I'll change my mind. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant, no question about it.
And do you know what happened with the penalty?
Did he miss it?
They missed it. Yeah.
Did they?
They missed the penalty.
Yeah.
There was a 5-minute delay.
So was it a penalty?
Well, we
felt it shouldn't have been, but obviously he gave it, of course.
No.
And we were disappointed with his decision.
Well, he did miss the... I remember now, he did miss the penalty after his 7th goal. He scored the first 6. He scored the first 6, and the referee told him to take it over again. And he finally put it over the bar.
Was that actually a concern of yours when you were managing other clubs, Martin, that Manchester United got favourable?
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Do you think so?
Oh,
no.
Wait a minute. You didn't need to do it because you were really good players. Well, some of you. But you didn't need to do it. But no, the referees were frightened to death of Alex. Absolutely frightened to death.
Hey, Aston Villa got a penalty up. When I was manager of Sunderland, Aston Villa got a penalty up at Sunderland one night. Martin was manager of Villa. It was a shocker. Wasn't it, Martin?
No.
Did you forget that?
What should it have not been?
No, it shouldn't have been a penalty. So Villa had big decisions against Sunderland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it kind of evens itself out.
Roy's never forgiven that. The penalty. It was definitely a penalty.
It was not, honestly.
Agbonlahor had both legs broken in the penalty box. And Roy thought it wasn't a penalty, you know, as he would.
Did Villa win that game?
No, a draw. No,
I
we
was
drew.
probably
We drew.
there as a fan.
It was a draw.
You got your own back.
yeah.
You beat us. You beat us one day.
That referee, no. Did I chase him down the tunnel, Martin? I didn't. Did I have a few words with him?
Oh, it was madness.
When you was managers against, what was it like? Did you speak nice and was he okay?
No, I didn't. We didn't really know each other too well, you know. Does anybody know Roy?
It's true. It's true.
That's what Teresa was telling me. But yeah, no, he was. He got mad. He got mad over a decision, and he chased the referee up the tunnel at the Stadium of Light. You know, honestly.
And then I saw the referee after the game getting on the Villa bus with the Villa tracksuit on.
We give him a lift to Durham. I got a pretty rough time, to tell you the truth. You're arrogant, son, with nothing to be arrogant about. You know? Hey, John, brilliant. Hey, O'Neill, you know. Told Johnny Giles and Billy Bremner, they put their medals in the bin because they cheated.
That's what you just did to us.
Maybe the teams back in the day don't get the credit they deserve.
This is why I need you, Roy, to keep telling me. He bottled it. He bottled it because Alex Ferguson was the manager.
Wow.
Want to bring in an assistant? Oh, yeah. And he said, I don't want to bring Roy Keane in. After 15 minutes, when I pulled him off the floor.
They weren't training properly. So I'd rather fall out with them than just not do my job and just ignore it.
Are you enjoying?
Have you told him? Sorry, the answer is no.
I didn't mean this.
Some of my earliest experiences of Brian Clough was that he had very little time for insulting referees or having a go at referees.
It's true.
Does that come from sort of, obviously you played under him. Why did it get through to you but didn't get through to Roy?
Well,
I did when I was a Forest.
But when you were at United, obviously.
Yeah, but I was getting a bit older now.
Yeah.
I'd married.
I think, that was the one thing, considering, you know, that he did preach that. He said that the referees were right, regardless of what happened, you know. And I think he was done out of a decision or two in the semi-final of the European Cup when he was manager of Derby against Juventus. I think there was a bit of skullduggery went on there. I think he's mentioned it since, but at the time I had to accept it. And that was part of him, believe it or not. He just said that the referees are right. He didn't want people arguing with referees and linesmen, and that continued throughout my time. I don't know whether it changed.
Same,
yeah. Was it?
Same,
yeah.
So when you got to United, you just let it all out because you'd been told.
Obviously, I was younger at Forest. I was a bit younger, and obviously had a different role in the team, I suppose. Yeah.
What would you do if you did have a go at a referee or question the decision?
He would know. No, he was really mad at Peter, who was a really great centre forward for us, terrific. Brian never really liked him too much, you know, and because Googie, as his nickname was, Googie used to be always arguing with the linesman. You're right, twittering away. Clough used to say to him all the time, he said, well, you just shut up. You just wrap up. Let the referee get on with the job and you try and score a goal. So, and that was it. That's the way he dealt with him. But listen, that was one of the nicer things about him, you know. It wasn't all nice about him, you know.
Was he nice to you, Martin?
Who was he? Hell, you know. Give me a rough time. You know?
Right from the start?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I got a pretty rough time, to tell you the truth. You know, I've seen some of the videos back. I think I deserved it. Yeah, I think it was. You know, the things that you when you step into management and you can learn something about. I never really headed the ball too clever, you know. So, and I realised as a manager, the first thing I thought, if the lads are, it wasn't that I wasn't a coward. I can't say that I was maybe. I certainly wasn't the bravest person that's ever played the game. You know, if there had been up over the parapet, I might have been about third last. You know, so but overall, he wanted people, you know, to go and head the ball in the penalty box. And I used to think, well, that's what Larry Lloyd and Kenny Burns does. They can't bring it down like I could do. But I think those things affected him in his early stage, and he couldn't get it out of his head. But in fairness to him, I'm saying this, I felt as if that I always had to prove him wrong rather than right. we had a great player called John Robertson, little John winger, brilliant player, John. And John he didn't start off being like this here because Cloughy wasn't sure about him to begin with, but he became his favourite player. And John used to get the seal of approval, which we were all looking for. And the seal of approval came like this, you know, hey, John, brilliant, like that there, just a little thing like this here, fantastic. And then from the other side of the pitch, hey, O'Neill, you know. Slight problem with that, you know, slight problem. But when he did praise you, and I know I can't say every single day was a poor day, but it wasn't. It was like honestly, you've just felt 10 foot tall, no question about it. And in the European Cup final, which I'll mention, you know, well, I might as well go on and plug it, and I plug both of them, and just having me joke. I know you missed out on that. You've only talked about it for 5 consecutive years. Oh, Roy's conversation with me every single day, every day at the Republic of Ireland. I said, Roy, we've got a game against Austria coming up. No, I can't get over. Didn't play in that final, you know. But you wouldn't have made it anyway because you got injured in the... I was at the cup final.
Well, we can't live in the past, can we? Let's not live in the past.
No, that's true. But let me finish.
Well, we need to in this.
Let me finish my story. Right, okay. And so, no, in the final against Hamburg, and we had just lost Trevor Francis a couple of weeks before that, he was going to be our main scorer. And even though we were the champions the previous year, we're going in second favourites in the game. And at half-time, he wanted to make a sort of a change. And seriously, and he was wanting to make some sort of a change. So I volunteered for this change. I don't know what it was. I thought if I volunteered for it, he wasn't going to take me off then. But and he said, no, I want you to stay because you're playing brilliantly, son. What? And honestly, it was like European Cup final. So I waited all these years for a European Cup final for him to tell him playing brilliantly in the game. And seriously, you couldn't wait for the second half to go out. So suddenly, you know, you felt re-energised to go on, come on.
Did it give you a lift for the second half? Were you even better?
Honestly. Well, yeah, I have to say I was really brilliant in the final.
No, that's okay to say.
No, Jill, listen, I did fine. John Robertson was... John scored the winning goal in the game and he had made the goal the previous year. Great player. With some terrific performances. Kenny Burns and Larry Lord were outstanding in the game. I was against Kevin Keegan at the time, you know. And, of course, Shilton was in goal. With some great players. I played in front of Viv Anderson, who was just a brilliant right back. Yeah. Really, really brilliant.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet.
With Brian Clough, didn't he give anybody any... If he could have that much power when he just gives you the thumbs up thing, whatever, why wouldn't he do it more often?
Keep on your toes, is it?
It was...
Yeah, but then he was okay with John Robertson, though.
Yeah,
that evolved in time. That evolved. When Brian Clough came to the football club, first of all, John and myself we'd fallen out with the manager at the time. The manager just got the sack, a fellow, a Scottish lad called Alan Brown. And I thought that... And he was trying to sell John to the 3rd Division up in Scotland. And seriously. So, listen, you know, I can fall out with anybody, you know, and you can have a difference of opinion and ability and things like this here. And in all honesty, as a manager, I kind of see myself now and I think, ooh, I don't like that, you know, didn't like that. One particular training session we had, we'd already put this was under Alan Brown, and he'd already put the team up against West Bromwich Albion on the Friday. So we went down the embankment to train, and so it was reserves versus the first in a sort of a game, and somebody went past me and I didn't chase back, so that wasn't unusual, but I didn't chase back, and he stopped the game and made me do 20 press-ups. You wouldn't believe it. 3 minutes later, the same thing happens again. And I don't chase it. And I think to myself, as a manager, I wouldn't put up with that either. So he made me do the press-ups. And
that's because you were left out of the team, Aaron.
No, I was in the team. Sorry, I was in the team.
You just didn't run back?
I was in the team for West Bromwich Albion.
Sorry,
I apologise. No, I was in the side. and I didn't chase back twice. And
Because you just didn't want it, or?
It's a good question, Gary.
That kind of, as Clough used to say about me, he said, you know, you're arrogant, son, with nothing to be arrogant about. You know? So there's a bit of that about me, you know. And anyway, the fella went past me again. There's a reserve player going past me. So he stopped it again, made me do 30 press-ups, and then within 5 minutes stopped the game. Got into his car quickly because he parked the car around got up to and changed the team, and I wasn't in the side. And you know what? He was absolutely right. Absolutely right. I couldn't say it.
Did you think he was right at the time? Was you
No, of course, not at all. No, I thought he should make me captain after that. but no. But he's absolutely right. And I would have done exactly the same thing.
Did that change your attitude going forward? Did you start chasing back and stuff like that?
It probably did, Jill. It probably really did.
How old was you, Martin?
I was 53 at the time. No, I was 21.
Yes.
21.
Yeah.
21. But so you're interesting. You should say that because it does. And then when Brian Clough did arrive, he brought with him a trainer or a coach called Jimmy Gordon, little lad from Jimmy. And Jimmy's first words were, "Get back." When the minute you've lost the ball, get back. I actually thought that he had written that song for the Beatles. Get back. That was all he used to say. Get back, get back, get back. I said, hold on.
What a tune.
And eventually, I have to say this, guy, not only did I chase back, I did. And one day, this is honestly, Brian Clough, talking about, I don't know how we had this conversation before, Roy and I, about we had the best of him. My generation, or my team, or the team I was involved in, had the best of him because he was right on it. Could remember everything during the course of the game. Remember, he doesn't have any iPads or anything like this here. And I remember one day where he did that. Viv had lost the ball going forward, and the fellas made this charge, and I've chased back from a nothing position to get back in, to get the challenge in, and we score a goal 2 minutes after that. That's a long 2 minutes. He comes in at half-time and said, "You scored that goal," to me. "You scored that goal." Well, no, I didn't. "Yeah, you did, because you did that running back and you chased it back, and you all in his mind." So that sort of thing, that's uplifting.
Yeah.
That's really uplifting. Listen, there's lots of things he did which I wouldn't have agreed with. You know, and he could be rude, he could be arrogant, and he could be kind, to be, narky. He could be all of those things in a minute and a half, you know. But listen, his whole personality pervaded the football club. I used to have a friend, a barrister friend. You started this conversation by saying about going into law. Yeah. And I only did law for a short period of time. I realised I wanted to get out of it because I couldn't spell jurisprudence. So, but really, I knew a barrister in Nottingham who did some football and did Radio Nottingham, and then I went to Radio Derby. These things, he was petrified of them, absolutely petrified. And his command of the English language would be brilliant, be well in advance of Brian Clough's, but petrified of it, because Cloughy could put you away.
These types of characters, I suspect Sir Alex Ferguson was similar in some ways. What separates them? Because they can be brutal, they can be kind, they can also be, like you say, they can put you away with their tongue. What separates them when you think about him?
I think it is. I think it's personality. Also, I think as well too, your personality but eventually you have to win. You have to win, and winning puts it there. You know, in the first couple of years of Alex Ferguson's reign, he's not winning. Yeah. And whatever he says in the dressing room, sometimes you feel as if this message is not getting through. And so when it turns and it wins, then, as he once said, it gives you power. And I think that's the thing. Brian Clough arrived at Nottingham Forest in 1975, won the first two games. We beat Tottenham in a replay. We won down at Fulham. didn't win for another 18 games.
Wow.
That's hard to believe. No, we did not win. We won some couple of games at the end of the season. His time, really, we hadn't made a phenomenal improvement until Peter Taylor arrived about 16 months later, and he re-energised Clough. He got the best out of him. Honestly, we saw a new Clough.
Doing what?
Doing what? I think that Clough had I can't say had lost it because he had a great personality, but he hadn't. It seemed as if it was like a dead end with us. You know, he hadn't improved the side that much. We were still in the second division at the stage.
Were you doubting him, Martin, as players, even at this stage? We're not sure about this.
It's a really good point, Roy. I've really thought about this, and honestly, memory plays tricks on you. I don't know. Was he ever going to leave the football club, get sacked? Not a chance. You're going to leave before him, you know, at the end of the... It's a very good point. I have thought about this here. I don't honestly think we had really doubted him. Right. I don't think we did. I don't think that... And as he would say, I don't think you're in a position to doubt me. You're not that good to doubt. But, I don't... But then suddenly it changed with Peter Taylor arriving at the football club. Clough got the old mojo back and stuff like this here and then, and you could see the best people to tell you about this here would have been two players he signed, John McGovern and John O'Hare. They saw this renewal of energy with him when Taylor arrived, you know.
But 18 games without a win now, you'd lose your job, wouldn't you?
Lose your game.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd be done before that.
But he was on cycle. You couldn't honestly because he was big. Remember, you're talking about a character that was on Michael Parkinson every 7 weeks and things like this here. We only a couple of channels on TV as well too. People say he was a man of the time, and he was. Could he have been a manager now? Yeah, he could have been. He would have had to reeled in. He would have reeled against a number of things, but he would have reined in and he would have... Do
you remember that? Because I think it might have been Michael Parkinson. I think Muhammad Ali was called out. He called out Clough, didn't he? Who's this guy?
Who is this guy? He said, I want to fight him.
I want to fight him. Yeah. But like when I look at like Brian Clough and the Damn United and his time at Leeds, and then you watch how well what's his name acted? Was it Martin Sheen?
Sheen. He captured the essence.
Honestly, it was like him going into Leeds. That Leeds team at the time, I remember when I was younger, everybody supported Leeds, and just absolutely slaughtering them. And then, 60-odd days and he was out?
44 days. He
44
survived.
days?
44 days he's out. But he was never going to do it. And this is the arrogance of him. He thought that he could turn it round. He told the boys, he told Johnny Giles and
Bremner
Billy Bremner, they put their medals in the bin because they cheated. You know,
that's what you just did to us.
You
should have put your medals in the bin. You had that many of them. I think you could have afforded
to throw one or two. But we're talking about the time, somebody like Brian Clough, even when you flash in and you see some of his punditries well before his time.
It was never going to happen because Leeds were so strong at the time. They were the best side in the country and they had the best players, Johnny Giles and Bremner and people Lorimer, Hunter, people like this here. So it was never...
But he definitely said all that stuff. Because in the movie, they always said the Damn United.
He definitely said it.
He definitely said all that stuff.
It came from the players.
Right, I know.
He said that to them. And it's not...
There's a couple of players sued. Didn't they sue, whatever? I
think Johnny Giles sued, I think, because he... And I think I spoke to him some years ago when he did say that even with all of that, with all of the things that went on in those 44 days, he said, it's funny, he said, I still felt as if I wanted to please him.
Yes, yeah.
That might tell you everything, you know?
Is his achievement at Nottingham Forest the greatest achievement in English football history?
Because I was part of it, yes. Well, I wasn't just part of it. I was the main instigator of it, you know.
But it is
those tackles, you know.
Yes.
You know, couldn't tackle a physically.
No, but people got to...
Yeah, sorry, Gary, absolutely. Yeah, well, I don't... well, it'll never happen again. And Leicester City's achievement in 2016 was terrific. Yeah. But for a side to get promotion... Immediately win
against
the league.
That Liverpool side.
Against the Liverpool side. To win the league and to win 2 European Cups and 2 League Cups.
Unbelievable.
And
it is the greatest.
Another one.
That is
with all in a period of 3 or 4 years.
This is what I was saying about the big club. What do you judge it? Is it the Is it the championships or the history? Because Forest are a big club.
I know, well, we all obviously were footballing people and we respect all of it. A lot of teams back in that day, they almost forgotten about Ireland with the Premier League and Champions League, and maybe the teams back in the day don't get the credit they deserve. Maybe I know we do.
Yeah, but Roy,
See, that's why this is why I need you, Roy, to keep telling me.
But it's like coming up from the second division in a league where Liverpool are dominating.
Yeah.
And winning the league, and then it's again, people need to watch it. The miracles, isn't it? I believe in miracles.
I believe.
Yeah, that's good.
They've got to
like,
watch that.
Great music.
I think you might have asked me the question, or maybe you didn't, but a couple of weeks ago. But it's like Ipswich coming up now.
Yeah.
Ipswich coming, and if Ipswich survive, that'll be a great achievement.
Yeah.
But we went on, and the opening game. I remember this. We opened up at Goodison Park, opening game, and the game was played in our penalty area for the first 25 minutes. We never couldn't get out of the box. And I don't know how we got up the field, but we forced a corner and we scored from the corner. We never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about great he was, Martin, but does it go back to what we talk about now, the modern recruitment? Did he eventually get some lads in? You said the John McGovern's were coming in, you going... So, however brilliant Brian Clough was, he still thought, I need to get people in.
Yeah.
People like
Kenny Burns.
Kenny Burns,
Kenny
right.
Burns.
Three major signings in the year that we won the league. Kenny Burns started the pre-season, came for us. He was a centre forward for Birmingham. We turned him into a centre half, played centre half. We then signed Peter Shilton after 6 games or 7 games.
Yeah.
Big signing. Big signing for us. Shilton was a magnificent goalkeeper. And then around about the same time, we signed Archie Gemmill. Archie was, honestly, you'd love it. Archie. Yeah. Archie could start a fight in a phone box. He would, seriously.
Yeah,
Archie would be, but he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He could run, he could pick it up, and he could go 20 or 30 or 40 yards with the ball. He was excellent.
Would he have signed these players himself, or would he have had someone that would have signed them for him?
They obviously they knew Archie because he was at Derby with them. Before that, the year that we got up, we signed Larry Lloyd, and to me, that's the first time I thought we mean business.
Because he's a top player, Liverpool.
Absolutely. Although he was done at Coventry and he fought with it, I think he was fighting with Gordon Milne at but we signed him for £60,000.
Wow.
He came on loan first of all, and Larry, I know, unfortunately, he's passed away now, but he was a big character. He could stand up to Brian Clough.
Wow.
And big time as well too. And I thought, sometimes you're sitting in a dressing room, have you ever thought about management, which I never did, but if you did, Lloyd was the one that I thought he'll be big in this game, because he could say it. He had the language skills as well too. He was really good, and he was just brilliant. So when he signed, first of all, he came on loan for us, and we were playing at Hull City in this game, and we travelled back by train, and we're John Robertson and I were looking at this big player, and he said, so funnily enough, he just got a cigar out. He got a cigar out. And he said, nice little club you have here. Nice little club you have here. He was big signing for us. Big, honestly. I think he was major because it's the first time that we thought, listen...
This is a proper guy.
But even Brian Clough, obviously, getting the spine of the team right, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the Kenny Burns, I was young at the time. I didn't even know he came from centre forward till I watched the film of it. I didn't know he was a centre forward before he came to Forest. I thought he was a centre half.
Yeah, no, he was a centre forward and played alongside Trevor Francis at Birmingham. Kenny's, without question, the ugliest man.
He played you in different positions, didn't he?
Yeah, a few, but if there was injuries or whatever, centre half, I played right wing, I played striker for a few games. If there was injuries, Nev, yeah.
Which was the out of those positions the one that made you think I don't like this?
I think the first few months I was definitely which one I didn't like.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was a bit younger, right? I just got on with it. No, I didn't mind. Again, I was 19, 20. I would have played anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I played a lot of games at the start. I think right winger.
Yeah. Do you think bringing in a few players each season, like building the team, was the key? Because now sometimes we're seeing influx of money and just bringing in like 8, 9 superstars. Do you think building
Forest
the team...
signed 30 players, didn't they? 25 players 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, that's more than we would have ever done ourselves. Yeah. I mean, you're playing league matches and you've got maybe 15 or 16 players at the time. Yeah. So the turnover wasn't that great to begin with. Eventually it did. When I think that Brian Clough and Peter Taylor were kind of falling out a bit in their last year about signings. Peter Taylor was the major signer of the players. He was the one that spotted the players. Brian Clough was the one that managed them, you know. So it didn't matter who Taylor would have brought in, Clough could manage them, you know. But Taylor was the spotter of the players. He brought Kenny Burns in, he put Peter Shilton, he wanted to sign for quite some time. Archie, they knew anyway. And we signed a lad called David Needham, centre-back as well, too, for centre-half. Did really, really well for us as well. So, but it wasn't a major. It wasn't as if to say we'll add a couple there. We went with the same side for a couple of years. It was the latter stages when the team was getting a bit older and the changes we're making, and I thought, in all honesty, I thought we were signing lesser players at the time. You know.
What made Robbo turn it around? Sorry, Robbo. If you said Robbo was on the verge of leaving to a third division team in Scotland.
John.
So what made Robbo's career turn around?
Well, I think Peter Taylor had a big effect in that, because Peter Taylor must have seen him play some.
Right.
John Robertson has made his name as a scourge of European fullbacks, as a left winger, little bit portly, you know. But John, when I went to Nottingham Forest first, I went there when I was 19, and John was 18, and he'd left home. He'd left Scotland at 15, so he'd been down in Forest in that time. John was a gifted midfield player. Couldn't run, couldn't head it. Brilliant, that's two of us. And but could ping it all over the pitch. Give him the ball, he could deal with the ball, like John could really deal with the ball. If you'd said to me in my first 3 months at Nottingham Forest that this boy here will actually be the fulcrum of a European Cup winning. He's the fulcrum, he's their main player from left wing, you would never have believed it. No. And it was almost by fluke that he found himself playing wide left-hand side, because we signed a lad called Terry Curran, and Terry Curran was a right winger and a really good player, Terry. And Terry was playing right wing, and all the ball was going down the right side. And I was in midfield at the time, which I loved, because, you know, that somebody else was doing the hard work. And John was doing the graveyard shift up and down on the left-hand side. Curran got injured, the ball shifted to John, and our fortunes shifted. Wow. And Robbo became the player.
Do you remember him, Righty? Do you remember John Robson?
Do you?
Yeah, getting down the line,
you wouldn't have remembered.
No, I don't.
Honestly, if you say... Great little, honestly, lovely.
I'm going to watch some clips after this.
And he was your assistant, Martin, as well, wasn't he?
Loved him. He was a better assistant than somebody else. I used
That was coming.
Who would that be?
He had less of an opinion. But he used to say, go with a gut feeling. I wish you'd have said that to me.
But you're on about the modern wide player. You're on about Robbo, all the stuff he couldn't do. But he could put a ball in, couldn't he, Mary? Just half a yard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I played wide right-hand side. And I used to say to Viv Anderson, who was the best fullback in the country, I said, Viv, we need to get the ball, because it was going down the left-hand side. As Brian Clough said, so it should be, son. He was the winger. But we had a lot of left-foot players. We had Ian Boyer, we had Tony Woodcock, we had Viv Anderson, we had Peter Withe, we had Archie, and we had Gary Birtles. All of those players all turned left. So all that it was a little coterie down there, you know. Yes. And I'm over in the far side of the field, and it's 3:20, and I haven't had a kick. And Clough, this is so honestly, we were playing this game, and I said to Viv, come on, Viv, tell Shilton, get the ball out here, get it out to me, get it out here. And Viv's going, no. Oh, I have to make a tackle first. I don't know how you ever felt at full back, but Viv, who's the brilliant player, but I had to make a tackle first in the game before he got his confidence up. Yeah. Which is not a great deal of help to me. Wow. So anyway, so I finally got it. I remember seeing the clock end, and it was 3:20, and I got the ball, and then I fell over a couple of times. And then he came in at half-time, and Clough said, he said to me, he said, we're going to fall out, son. He said, because the linesman's having a better game than and he said, and I said, well, it's down the left-hand side. And, I knew I'd made a mistake, because my biggest problem, answering back. Okay. And biggest problem. And I said, it's been down the left-hand side, though. And he said, what? He had heard me, but he wanted me to repeat it. Like,
And did you repeat it?
Oh, I repeated with a spotted lip, and I said, "It's down the left-hand side," and just say that's me. I'm Clough, Roy's me, and you're Robbo. And he said, "What did you say again?" I said, "It's down the left-hand side." "So it should be, son. He's a genius." Led me the strong impression that I wasn't, you know. But, yeah.
He sounds like his one-on-one management, though, was really good. Like you said, he was giving praise to some players, maybe because he recognised they needed it. He was getting the best out of players out of position.
It's a good point, that, Jill. And everybody said to me, I just felt that that I should have had more praise from him. But then again, as I said to you, just look at the videos and I think he might be right.
Yeah.
But you waited for that praise. And if it was done in front of the team, then you really did feel great. You know?
But getting the best out of you, because some players do need a little bit of an arm around them, and I think that's the difference between great managers. They know how to get the best out of
I think you're right. I think he felt, I don't know why he did, but I think he felt that I could take the criticism. No, just to cry in the toilet.
Would he be the biggest influence then on your managerial career?
Of course, absolutely. Honestly, I had a really, really, really good manager at international level, Billy Bingham as well too. So for Northern Ireland, and he was the first one really to make me think about management, possibility of management, because I never really wasn't that bothered about it. And but in terms of club influence, week in, week out, hour in, hour out, and stuff like this, it'd be very difficult not to have learned something from him. You know.
How did Wickham come about for you, Martin?
Wickham, yeah.
And what made you say, yeah, I'll take that, yeah?
Right. Well, it's funny because I started to apply for jobs then and I remember applying for a job. I used to write it in my own writing. I didn't type the letters up and stuff like this here, and I tried to make stupid little jokes about. But I applied for Mansfield, applied for Chesterfield, applied for Stockport County team. I remember, I'm definitely sure it was Stockport. I sent away a letter, never got a reply. They appointed someone. And then 6 or 7 months later, they actually sacked the manager that they appointed at the time. And about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I get a letter from Stockport saying, thank you very much for your letter. It was from the original one, but they'd obviously kept it in the drawer and then decided, but you've been unsuccessful this time. No, I was unsuccessful the first time. I said, so I didn't get it. So Wickham came along because I met by chance Alan Parry. Alan Parry, the commentator. Alan, big Liverpool fan, big Liverpool. And Alan, I'd met Alan a couple of times before at some London functions for one reason. And we met at Norwich. I was doing a little bit of work for radio for Norwich, and Norwich were playing Liverpool. And Alan had just come up to the game. And he said, I thought you might have applied for our job, because I'd applied for it a couple of years before that and didn't get it. Yeah, really. So, and even though I got down to the last one, so, only an Irishman can get down to the last one and fail it, But anyway, so I didn't get the job. And he said, oh no, the manager's gone a couple of weeks ago because they lost to the Metropolitan Police in the FA Trophy. Yeah, okay. And he said, I thought you would have applied for it. And I said, no, I didn't even know it was available. He said, well, I might make a phone call to the chairman, but he said, they're doing interviews today, which was a Sunday. And funnily enough, I got a call back later on that they had appointed Kenny Swain. Remember Kenny?
Yep, right back Portsmouth.
Kenny was the assistant manager to Dario Gradi at this stage at Crewe.
Yeah.
And he was given the job. And then, would you believe, on the Monday, he turned the job down. He took it and turned it down, and then they asked me for an interview. That's how I got it.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't it mad that you had to write a letter?
Yeah.
Did you do that at Valencia?
Yeah, but he could have typed a letter. He just wrote a letter. He could have typed it if he wanted to.
I had the ability to type, I think. I just didn't have a typewriter.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. you're talking about before about not chasing back as a player, but when I played against your team, Leicester, it was one of the hardest teams to play against, one of the hardest working teams. But I actually remember just thinking, now, who was your midfield at Villa? When they started all the stats, you know, the analysis stats, where how far people would run, I'm sure you were the manager with a midfield of... Who was the midfield that you had?
Midfield, we had James Milner played, we had Stilian Petrov.
Downing?
We had Stuart Downing played, and we had Gareth Barry as well, too, at different stages.
That midfield at the time ran more than any other midfield had ever run on Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I remember the Tony Strudwick, who was the actual performance guy at United, and he came off, and we always used to get the stats the day after, and he always tells us how far we'd run. And that midfield, no midfield at that time. I think Bill Bow did maybe a couple of years later with Bielsa. But that midfield ran further at Old Trafford than any other midfield had ever.
What was the score in that?
I don't know what the score was, but I just remember him saying that and thinking about you not running back, but your teams.
Yes. All your teams.
The teams were.
The things you learn. I listen, absolutely. And I'm probably a bit self-deprecating in that sense, but I did learn. You know, it's part of the thing. You learn something.
Yeah.
But talking about which gives me an opportunity now, the League Cup final in 2010. When Aston Villa were playing Manchester United.
You didn't play that, Nev, did you?
No.
Playing Manchester United, you wanted to listen to this. 3 minutes into the game, 3 minutes at Wembley into the game, Vidic downs Agbonlahor.
Oh, yeah.
Penalty kick. Yeah. We get a penalty and think, it's going to send him off. It's a sending off offence. Yeah. But no, the referee, I don't remember his name, Phil Dowd. Phil Dowd, Phil, could be corpulent a little bit at different stages of his career. And no.
Didn't send him off.
Not only didn't he send him off, he didn't even book him. Vidic got booked later on. So all I'm saying is with the energy that we had in the team, and I know Manchester United, and that's Alex Ferguson, that's not a done deal after 3 minutes, but we have a better chance with 11 versus 10.
Yeah.
And and so, but he bottled it. He bottled it because Alex Ferguson was the manager.
Wow.
That's my view. That's my view.
What was the score that game?
They beat us 2-1.
2-1.
They came back to win 2-1. In the game.
James Milner and Gareth Barry, though, they are runners, and
Downing.
you know, when you look at the longevity of their careers working with them, can you see why they had such long careers?
Well, I signed him for James Milner. It kind of reminded me in many aspects. I signed him from Newcastle, but I could see sometimes when you're wide right-hand side and you don't have any help and you're looking for a centre forward to come and show, and you want to do something because you're confronted with things. James had in many aspects the same sort of problems that I had as a player, you know. And if Viv's going to come down the outside of me, that's great. But if he's not there, then I'm looking to do something because I'm not that I was slow, but I'm not blinding pace to go past the people to do the things. So when then I realised James had a bit of a problem with that there, but put him into midfield where he could go up and go all day, and he wanted to play and great attitude.
Was that the best team that you ever managed, do you think? Or
But Celtic, we got to the UEFA Cup final in 2003 against Jose Mourinho's side. Yeah. The same side went on to win the Champions League the following year, and we got beaten in extra time 3-2 with a man sent off in the game. We could have won. They play acted for a lot of the time. They didn't need. They every time they scored a goal, they went back to Porto to celebrate.
Was your first year at Celtic? You won 3 trophies in your first year.
Thanks to I know you just checked that up. Well done.
Knowledge.
Still, I've got something in common. We're big Sunderland fans.
Yeah,
you know?
big Sunderland fans. No, but I was going to ask, when you first went into Celtic, what was the one thing you changed, or what made you get that success instantly? Because to go into a club and suddenly win 3 trophies.
And Rangers were strong back then, weren't
they? Rangers were really strong side. The Rangers team of then would beat this Rangers side.
Who's the manager of Rangers?
Dick Advocaat. Dick Advocaat, yeah. So they'd lost the league by about 21 points, Celtic, before. Obviously needed some decent players. I inherited some decent players. I had Paul Lambert. I had young Stilian Petrov at the side, was trying to make the grade. And
did you bring in Chris Sutton?
I brought in Chris
Sutton.
I brought in Chris
great Chris
because Mark Viduka wanted to leave.
Yeah, he wanted to
Viduka
leave,
left.
Yeah.
And you were up there at the time.
I was there the year before.
You were there before.
Yeah. Because Henrik was just coming back as well.
No, he'd gone. He'd gone at the time. I would have done. But
I would have done.
But I mean, you were the same age as me at the time.
I was 35. I was 35 at the time.
35. Yeah. That's what I mean.
So
And Wright, he had gone at that stage. So, but you were up there, so you know the things under, and the confidence was really low, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Really low.
Unfortunately for Barnsley, it wasn't a good time.
And signing Chris Sutton was big for us. Viduka, if Viduka had stayed at the club, he didn't want to stay, then I wouldn't have signed Chris. But we needed, but
was Chris from Chelsea at the time? Was
he had a bad time at Chelsea, Chris. So. When we were trying to sign him, I think Dermot Desmond, the major shareholder, he wasn't sure about signing Chris. Eventually, Chris became his favourite player, but he wasn't sure about him. He said, because he's not played well at Chelsea. I said, no, he's had a nightmare at Chelsea. I said, but he was a good player at Blackburn. Yeah, he was. I said, because when they won...
And Norwich early on as well. George Graham was really interested in him.
And I said that he and Alan Shearer had scored 50 goals, and I didn't tell Dermot that Shearer scored 49 of them. But anyway,
that was an important marker to put down, Matt. When you've just gone in the door, you're having a little battle already to get a player in the door. Yeah.
It was it was absolutely just to begin with. The first thing, and I won that particular the battle, and. We won the first couple of games, which was great. Then we beat Rangers in a big game, 6-2 in my first game ever at Celtic Park. And we were 3-0 up in 11 minutes.
Jesus.
And I turned around to John Clark, little John Clark, John, who was a member of the 1967 team.
The Clark Lion, Lisbon Lion.
And I said to John, how long's left? And he said, there's only 79 more minutes to go. And I think that game, and Celtic fans talk about it now as like a seminal game. And
it was.
Because and I'll tell you what, it didn't immediately think you're going to win the league, but what it did do, it set a mindset for us. Yeah. And in the course of time, of the next couple of months, I signed Alan Thompson, who did brilliantly for me, little Didier Agat, who played great. And then I signed Neil Lennon. Lennon came in December time. And I honestly think, in my view, Lennon was to us what you were to Manchester United. Honestly, the real driving force of the side. I know seldom made him captain of the team, but he really was that. Paul Lambert was the captain. Paul, in a different manner, But Lennon was, Crabbit. He was all of those things, and he was. He did great. Never passed the ball any further than 15, 20 yards, but was always there. And I had him at Leicester. And in fairness, if I'd not signed him at Leicester, I wouldn't be sitting talking to you now.
Was the partner at Leicester was Muzzy, is it? Was it Muzzy? Is it?
Muzzy, I signed Muzzy. I knew where all the... I did my homework. When I went to Wickham, I was out every single night watching football because this was important to me. This is my... If I don't make it at Wickham, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because this idea that they talk about making your mistakes down below, it's nonsense. Yeah. If you make your mistakes down below, nobody wants you up above.
No, I agree.
So I was out every night, so I knew where the players were. I used to watch Chelsea reserves play every second Monday night at Kingstonian down there, where I knew all the boys. I knew Muzzy knew all the players, knew where to go. I'm not saying that Muzzy would have signed for Wickham Wanderers, but... took until last.
Is that where Robbo was good with you? Robbo was a good...
Robbo came in. Robbo didn't have much time. Robbo had very little time with me at Wickham Wanderers. I did that really essentially on my own. But I always wanted John to come with me, at some stage.
Because what, his personality?
His personality,
as much as anything
absolutely,
else,
so his personality, John used to say to go with your gut feeling and things like this here. But he was great. John could...
Players loved him.
Players.
The players loved him.
They loved him. They didn't like me, but they loved him.
Did you see when you say how Brian Clough treated you and how you needed some love? Was there any of the clubs where you think, I'm not going to treat that player like this, or I'm going to treat this player like this? How did you deal with the fact that you didn't get that much love?
It's a good point. I felt that what I wanted to do was that that I thought to myself, I'll go in with this idea that I can treat everybody the same way. It's just nonsense. You know, people are different. You will treat them. I think that you have got a kind of a set of rules that, you know, that no one will break. But you do treat people differently. And I felt that that in the dressing room, I sometimes, because I'd seen it as a player, right, where some of the stronger boys in the dressing room, to a weak manager, would have a go at the younger lads.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it didn't happen in my dressing room because I wanted the younger boys. I know they used to have a go at Stevie Guppy at Leicester. And going, don't you have a go at him? Don't you have a go? Don't you dare? And Stevie Guppy played every single minute of a 42-game season for us at one time. Didn't always deserve to play, but I put him in. I put him in because... And you do treat the players differently to a manner. And I wanted to probably wanted to be treated the way I maybe wanted to be treated myself.
But there's certain traits, Martin, you must have liked in your teams. Leicester, and a lot of times you played three at the back, didn't you?
Yeah.
Big, strong centre-half.
Yeah.
You know about Gups there, for example. Gups worked with us when we were in Ireland. And Gups wouldn't be probably the most skillful player. I'm trying to be polite here, but obviously you could get across him. But would you look at him and go, I like my white players, like Milner and these lads, going, I like the walk rate from him. There's certain traits you would hang your hat on all the time. And
Stevie Guppy would work back. He couldn't could hardly make a tackle, but he'd still be a body back there. And you know that he'd want to take people on. He'd want to whip the balls in and things.
He brought a good balance to your team, didn't he?
He brought a balance. Your problem with playing three, if your centre backs, until we signed Frank Sinclair from Chelsea, and Frank was their quickest player at the back. But if you've got three centre-backs, you're not all that quick, then they don't really want to go out, you know, they don't want to go out there, they want to stay in. So that was a problem. But I had Matty Elliott. Yeah. Matty Elliott was super player. He could have played centre-forward with no problem at all. And a big Steve Walsh, Tiger, and Sinclair. Sinclair was the quickest, and you were hoping that he would maybe clear up a bit of danger when the boys missed. Generally speaking, you know, if it was a foreign body that had got past, that if it got past Walsh, that was doing well, you know. He was, they were strong, and I'm pleased you did say that they were hard. We had a hard-working side.
Yeah.
You know, if you were defending a corner at Filbert Street and those centre-halves came forward, they were absolute giants. It was like, here we go. We weren't the biggest team in the world. It was a problem. Just going back to the assistants, you worked with John Robertson. Take us through the process of how you thought, because it would be brave, seen as a brave decision to bring Roy in alongside you.
Obviously, right.
No, Roy's obviously profile, his status in Ireland, and the idea that obviously he'd been a number one. Yeah. So where did that come from, and how did it happen?
I think Roy might see it differently, but we'd done a little bit of TV work on ITV. That's right, and
Coronation Street.
And you know, just maybe after the matches we got a bit of chatting. I never knew Roy at all in Nottingham at the time, and obviously by reputation more than anything else. But said, listen, at an international level, if there was an international job come up, would you fancy doing it? And I think he said, yeah, listen, we'll go with it. As it turns out, the Republic of Ireland came up. I'd never any problem taking him on because I think, listen, you know, sparing his blushes, a big character, divided opinion over Saipan and things like this here. But listen, I had never a problem with that. Problem was passing out. Roy had fought with most people and at the time, but John Delaney was the chief executive at the stage. And
was he a fan of Roy?
A fan of Roy's ability. I think everybody is that there, but I think Roy had given him a bit of stick over the time. But when I did say I said, listen, he wanted me to become the manager, and I said, listen, I want to bring in an assistant. Oh yeah, and he said, I want to bring Roy Keane in. And then after 15 minutes, when I pulled him off the floor, he said, he fainted. He dropped out, and I don't think I ever really recovered from that. But no, I have to say he was terrific. And it was going to be a problem. I realised the problem because Roy had been a manager, used to making the decisions. Last decision going out. And those things are hard, for a manager. Yeah. But I will say something about him, even though his counting in golf is crap. Whatever team that Roy had put out, and say, this is the thing. And if I had said, listen, I see your point, but we'll go with this here, you wouldn't have him coming back round and saying, listen, to anybody at all, I'd have picked another side, He just gave me a rollicking in the room.
One of my best experiences.
Seriously, Roy?
No, he'd never let you down in that aspect. You'd never have found him going somewhere along the way and saying, look, wait a minute, know what the man is. And I've seen this before. And John Robertson and Stevie Walford, we were like that. Yeah. And with Roy, it was great. Roy, of course, listen, he's an acquired taste. There's no question about it, But at the end of the day...
I like the idea of that, acquired taste.
I think what helped me, but when I didn't work with Martin, obviously the international football, I was thinking, people saying this, I think the fact that I'd been a manager previously was a big help to me, not in an ego way going, I'm used to it, because obviously I had huge respect for Martin. I'd met him a couple of times. So going in, knowing what the manager and knowing my boundaries, I found that easy.
No, but just the idea of you not being the sort of, if you like, final...
I was fine with that. I was fine because it was Martin. I think other managers I might have been, whatever, but because obviously what Martin had done in the game, the few conversations we had, the other staff members, we all got on great. Yeah. Listen, we had a decent group with Ireland. We were competing. And obviously, again, you'd have chats about players in the squad. What about this? But as soon as Martin made the final decision, I was done. Yeah. But the good thing for all of us, we felt Martin, whether he was or not, was listening to us. But then he'd have to go that way. But having previously been a manager, I got that. So there was no hang-ups with me. Yeah. And I go back throughout my career, my experience with Ireland, with Martin, and particularly going to yours, probably the highlight of my career. Which sounds bizarre. We always talk about playing. It's all about playing, of course, love playing. But our time with Ireland was probably the highlight. I just loved everything about it, the dynamics, the energy of the group, working with Martin, the other staff members. We'd something going on there. There was a feel-good factor. The lads were decent. Listen, we did lack probably no goal score. We lacked a bit of quality, all those things. But we got to the Euros. We missed out in the playoff. One of the best times of my life.
It's extraordinary for you to say that for the medals that you've won in the game. To think that is the highlight. Seriously, that's really 100%. That's honestly, that's really genuinely lovely to hear. I know that.
Could you have better rapport with the players and stuff? Do you think, having not been manager, like, could you let your guard down? I
suppose a little bit. Yeah. There was a little bit of that where obviously ultimately I wasn't making the final decision, so I was a bit more. Maybe a bit more hands-on with the players. But I didn't mind that also when I was a manager, keep my distance. But it was a nice change for me, different role, different dynamics. I love the flow of international football. You're there for a few weeks, it's intense, and then you step back. I loved everything about it.
Was it as well the fact that it was your country, and you know what I mean? You'd qualified, and you'd done the best you could with the team you had.
Yeah, of course. All that. There's obviously an emotional side to the job. Of course.
I think when we beat Germany along the way too, with about 3.5% possession at home.
It's all you need.
It's all you need to win the game, and then beating Bosnia in the playoffs to get there, and the dressing room was it was wild afterwards. It's really, really fantastic. But I think the opening game in Paris when we played Sweden in Paris, and we had like 50-odd thousand in the game, colourful sight. Between ourselves and Sweden, Sweden with the yellow nuts, and I must admit, and that was fantastic for 25,000 fans to come to the game, and this is what Irish fans want to do. They want to enjoy a tournament if they can. So getting there is really difficult, but to be there. And the night that Robbie Brady scored the goal against Italy.
I think we were a bit older. I think I could take it in a bit more. When you're a player, you're obviously in the zone and we're all under pressure. But that kind of couple of weeks in France, I always have to step back a little bit and really enjoy it. Just we're there to get results and to get out of the group. And then, the game against Italy was fantastic.
Yeah, it was, absolutely.
Family members there.
Yeah.
Yes. Were there times where your frustrations with the players, you've talked about them on here before, haven't you, where you were obviously supporting Martin, he was the manager, but you felt frustrated with a couple of players and you had to hang back, or whether Martin would let you go sometimes?
Yeah, there was a bit of that, but that's the balance you get with obviously the manager assistant. Martin would obviously give me, I wouldn't say give me leeway, but he'd obviously let me have my personality, bring that to the squad. But obviously I'd have to know boundaries. Sometimes you think, hopefully you got it Wright.
So what you say, you wouldn't just go in and start blasting off on the players? You just...
No, what, like during a game or half time?
No, but like half time.
Training, no, it was quite...
Roy had a good little training session thing that worked brilliantly for it. Roy listen, he wanted people to train properly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You wanted
Standards.
Like I think when I'd rather, just say, for example, Ireland's a good example, I might have fallen out with maybe 2 players who I'd have no time for, because to me they weren't training properly. So I'd rather fall out with them than just not do my job and just ignore it and just pretend it's not happening. You have to challenge people. And like, you were challenged by Brian Clough, or I was challenged by... Later on, you might go, maybe they had good points. So the 1 or 2 I've fallen out with Ireland, and I mean literally 2 players, I've no problem with that, because they weren't doing what we were hoping to do. And that was over the course of a number of games. It wasn't one session where you come in hard and somebody go, listen, players can have their down days. So I'd had more regret if I kept my mouth shut and done nothing. I think that's a bigger crime than confronting people saying, listen, that's not what we expect as a manager and a staff. You have to come out and compete.
And in tournaments, you can't carry people, can you? It's
and
like,
we didn't have to. The group we had, generally speaking, were
they put their lot in
really
that
good
stuff.
group, and they had to.
Yeah.
Because we lacked other stuff.
You said before that you wouldn't necessarily have been an assistant manager. It wasn't for Martin. What was it specifically about Martin that you actually felt you could be an assistant manager, but others wouldn't maybe?
You can lie, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't. Obviously, I'd come across Martin a few times against his teams as a player, as a manager. I admired what he'd done, obviously his stuff at Celtic and whatever, and his connections with Ireland. I think there was something with Martin, there was a bit of chemistry. We met once or twice, but it certainly wasn't a pals act.
Yeah.
I wasn't going in going, wink, wink, give me a job. I knew it was going to be professional. I knew Martin would give me some opportunity to coach with the players. So it was, from a selfish point of view, it was a great job for me. And because it was international football, international football automatically takes care of itself. The games, and when you're off.
We weren't in each other's pocket all the time, which was really good, you know.
That definitely helped.
Do you feel you should have stayed longer? How long were you there?
Oh, no. Well, what happened is that I think the press lads in Dublin, which I never really got on with, you know. I think I know I've said this before, and they're saying that this is nonsense, but I felt a bit of like an outsider. I'm from Northern Ireland, you know, and I'd been Northern Ireland player and captain of the side, but I never felt any problem with the crowds, because there are a lot of Irish fans would be Celtic fans, you know. So that we had never a problem with the crowds. The crowds came in droves to the games, because you know, and I think we had to try and get the very best out of them for a couple of days' work. And with respect, as Roy said, we weren't the most skillful side, but you're trying to qualify for a competition. And in fairness, Roy's contract and my contract were the same. We wouldn't have had a renewal, or we might have got, but the only way that we were definitely going to get a renewal of contract was qualifying for the Euros in 2016. So we got this opportunity then, and sometimes Roy was saying, listen, I think we should continue on and do it. I must admit, I wasn't sure, but Roy convinced me, and I thought, okay, maybe it was time. So we tried to qualify for the World Cup. We got to the playoff. Fine. We were fourth seeds in the group. So we get to the playoffs. We actually got through to the playoffs. We played Denmark. We draw in Copenhagen. So we have to win. We have to win in Dublin to win. We score first. We miss 2 good chances after that to go 3. If we go 2, but because we'd only drawn 0-0, the away goals was going to count at this stage. They hit us just before half time. Eriksson had a blinding game. He scored a hat-trick. And the first interview I do afterwards, the fellow, who's primed anyway, to tell you the truth, he's primed, he says, is this not a sackable offence? So we're qualifying, trying to qualify for the... And my last year, really, you know, it was difficult. We were playing in that Nations League. No one knew what the rules were. No one cared at the end of the day. And they're basing things like this here. So it just got a bit messy at the end. And
you asked me at the start. Remember, I don't know how long we'd been there, maybe 6 months or a year. And obviously 1 or 2 issues with the media. You said to me as a person, I remember going, no. Particularly the Irish fans would be fair like that. But towards the end, remember I said, I think you were right. I was. Yeah.
But listen, it happens. You know, I'm not blameless in these situations. You know, I sometimes I don't help myself. Well, Roy said that, and
It was brilliant, honestly, an amazing experience.
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
it?
honestly,
It was
that's
great.
really
Like,
nice you to
great
say
days.
that, young man.
And then Forest, you worked together.
Well, for a few months we were there.
At Forest.
We were there for 19 games.
But the strange thing is,
What
yeah,
happened?
Roy,
What happened then?
in fairness, Roy left, and I think that yeah.
but we both agreed when we were up with Ireland, it would only kind of work at international level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah, that's
the
probably
squad
true.
takes
Yeah,
care
yeah.
of itself. So then Martin with the Forest, Martin had gone, and I said, listen, we've done our time together. Now, if I was, and you've been up there a week or two, and again, Forest pulls at the heartstrings. Said, listen, come up to the summer and have a look at it. And I did go up to the summer, but it just
No.
it wasn't the same as the international stuff.
Right.
You know, I just felt the club stuff. Again, that's where maybe
Yeah.
I'd maybe want to make more decisions at club level. It's what time you're training, days off, pre-season players. Whereas at international level, you don't really have that kind of day-to-day debate and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's where I just
No,
stepped back,
stepped back, and I was gone the following day. So, I know, so I blame you. Marinakis.
What happened then? Marinakis?
What had happened? I'd had an opportunity to manage the club about 3 or 4 times before, and I didn't do it. In fact, I was after Mark Warburton left in the January of the previous year. They asked me, so I go to the interview, and I'm sitting down with the people. I don't really like them, you know, but they asked me for the job.
Who is this? Is this Marinakis?
The group, you know, there's a lot of his henchmen there. And I don't really like them. And the following year, another manager left, and I'm interviewed again, the same room, same group of people, same people I don't like, and I take it. I'm off my rocker. And I take the job, and the Marinakis said to me, well, listen, don't worry about this season. We'll deal with it. We'll get ready for next season. And we had 19 games, and we actually won the last 3. And then a week of pre-season, and they come in. They said, the way you want to run the football club is not the way we want to run it. Fine, okay, right. That's the way you want to go.
And that was it?
And that was it. Okay.
Wow.
So, anyway. And the funny thing about it is this there, that the next manager came in, seriously, and within 2 weeks, I'd signed 15 players. Jeez, 15 players, you know that. And we did need some new players. Yeah. There's only one lad who remains in that football, and that's Yatesy.
Okay.
And we brought him back from Roy and I brought him back from he was out on loan, and so we brought him back. And Yatesy, in fairness to him, he's great heart, great honesty, great attitude.
He did well in the game we watched the other week.
He did really well
in the game, didn't he?
And I was speaking to him afterwards because I was doing the punditry work. And it was great. It really, and he mentioned you, Roy, in glowing dispatches.
Good guy, man.
Great.
Round of a highlight. So remember when we qualified, Matt? Remember that night in the casino we had? How good was that night we had? I don't mean throwing loads of money. I'm just saying the staff were together. You were having a nice glass. We were a few.
It was one great. The night that we qualified for the Euros.
Okay.
You know, we went into Dublin afterwards, and.
What a great night.
We had super night, I must admit. Keane was in great form. He was in really good form.
Good memories.
Honestly.
Yeah, it was really terrific, I must admit. Anyway.
Are you enjoying?
Have you told him?
Sorry. No, I was just going to say you enjoyed
the answer is no.
I didn't mean this.
No, I know you didn't mean that.
You enjoying yourself?
Before we wrap up, you've got to tell them your golfing. I overheard.
No, obviously, I don't play golf, but when we were with Ireland, there'd be 2 or 3 of the staff play golf, but there's always short one if they're playing doubles or whatever against it. So they dragged me out one day and went, do you want to play? I went, I'll go out and just help the numbers. So Martin was with Seamus, I'm with Gups, teams. No, I haven't got a clue. I'm after about 14 or 15 holes. I'm way behind. I don't play golf. So at once, we got to this hole, and I was obviously way behind everybody else. So they said to me, we'd watched. Sorry, I'll not interrupt. So we get to the green. Eventually, they said, "How many shots have you took, Roy?" And I went, I think it's six to get there. This is, I think, a par 3. And they were like, "Hold on a second." They all stopped. They went, "Let's count this back now." I'm way behind. I'm not even in the competition.
Yes.
1, 2, basically it was 7. I think I made a mistake of 1. Hey, you cheat. They wouldn't let me forgive him. I'm not even winning. I'm way behind. I made 1 mistake, and I was a cheat. Cheat for life.
No, I'll tell you what it was. It wasn't just that hole. It was the other. It was the par 5. It was the longest par 5 in Christendom. It's the longest par 5. Rory McIlroy couldn't get there in 3 shots.
Wow.
He couldn't get there in 3 shots.
come
and
on.
it was a par 5. And Roy had gone. Roy had his driver using a 7-iron off the tee and had gone into the trees. So we in the buggy and we're heading on down the road and we think, well, listen, he'll be up there. And the next thing, this ball comes past us, right onto the green. And I said, Roy, this is 10 minutes later. And I said, Roy, how many is that? He said, that's my 3rd. That's what we realised. That's the type. That was the hole before we decided to count the shot. That was the point. Absolutely.
But I was playing with clubs, and I'm learning the game. So Martin then takes a shot, right, and goes into the woods, right? Do it, and I'm going, fucking get in there. Cups would be nervous of me. He's like, oh, I hope he doesn't get too upset. I went, fucking.
Yes.
So next he goes, Martin's in there for definitely 20 minutes, and we're going, you'll never find it. It is impossible.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Then I found it. I heard him shouting through the woods.
You get a ball out
Came
your
straight out. I was
pocket.
like, it's impossible.
Righty. Not only did I find it, because it was covered by 2 Japanese prisoners of war. and honestly, and it was perched up on a lovely little hill.
Brilliant.
A
You're so
lovely little
lucky.
hill, which I think was Shergar's head. And anyway, and remarkably, it was just there, just nicely to be hit.
Shergar.
That is true.
I
Yeah.
made one mistake with it.
Did you have a
love it.
ball in your pocket?
No, I didn't. When you're playing Roy, you didn't need a ball in your pocket. You're good. But what about but the 2 kids? That's really fun. What do we mean? So we're playing this evening.
Don't exaggerate
this particular evening, and so we're playing, and Roy's using a 7-iron, and so he's obviously mad. He's as he said, it's a par 3. And he's 7th shot, and he's halfway down the fairway. And so these 2 young lads, it's our hotel. It's just in the golf course attached to it. And the 2 lads are just on the outskirts, on bicycles. They're about 14 or 15. And you can see Roy's back there, and the 2 lads are just beside me. And they say, "Hey, Mister, is that Roy Keane there?" And I said, yeah, it is. I said, do you think we could get his autograph? I said, not a good time.
Not a good time.
Not a good time. Really not good. If you watch him say, and if he hits a decent shot, maybe you go on up towards the green, which he'll not reach. We'll go on up to the green, and we'll see how we go from there. So the 2 boys go back on the bicycle and up to the green. And so Roy finally gets up to the green, and the 2 lads, Roy, can we have your autograph? Oh,
I don't think I swore.
And the 2 lads, I met the 2 lads last year. They just got out of a psychiatric unit.
It's mentally scarred.
Mentally scarred.
Mentally scarred.
For the whole time.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. Martin, we're going to finish with some community questions, which is amazing.
Questions?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Who is the best player you've ever coached? These types of questions.
Good question, I like it. Good question.
Yeah, the best player I've ever coached. Well, the one who pulled me out of more trouble than anything would be Henrik Larsson.
Wow.
Out of more holes than other
He's a great striker. I'll give Henrik is magnificent.
Henrik, amazing.
I had lots of great players, but you're talking about a goal scorer who I remember once saying to John Robertson, John, I think we were playing, I think it was St Johnstone, and I said to John, I don't know, Henrik hasn't scored yet. He said, we haven't kicked off yet. That's a crap joke.
If you hadn't made it as a footballer, would you have continued playing Gaelic football?
I probably would have done, yeah. Probably would have done. Would like to have won an All-Ireland medal with County Derry, yeah.
You played at Croke Park, didn't you?
I played at Croke. I played minor football.
Wow.
I played under 18s for Derry for a couple of years. And we had a colleges final called the Hogan Cup, and the college I went to, St Malik's, reached the All-Ireland colleges final, got beaten by a team near Roy down in Cork.
That's a big
Well,
deal,
but
though.
that's
That's a
under
big deal to
18.
all Ireland. That's a massive
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. It really was great. But it was an under-18 competition, but down in College Crease 3, the players were 33 at the time. 4 boys come on with big beards. Honestly, under-18.
If you could change one result from your career,
UEFA Cup final.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
UEFA Cup final.
UEFA Cup final.
Tuna.
Yeah, that'd have been amazing.
Seville.
That was it.
That'd have been
Seville.
amazing,
We had
yeah.
75,000 fans come down to Seville.
That's
Wow.
amazing,
Yeah.
I was
remember
over to watch.
That was a tough, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
Roy
tough
came
one.
over to the game. It was great.
It was a tough one.
Hadn't known each other at the
Watching
time.
that on the
but
box.
yeah, if we change that.
who was your better side? Celtic in the early 2000s or Villa in the late 2000s?
It's a good point.
2000s.
A really good point. A lot, Celtic lads were great. That's hard.
Does it change if you've won a trophy with one of them?
I did.
Like when you've actually got a trophy with
yeah,
Celtic.
correct.
That was brilliant.
The things that, and I'm being serious for a moment, the 2 UEFA Cup with Celtic would have been fantastic. And if we'd won the League Cup, I know it's only talking about the League Cup, but to win the League Cup against Manchester United,
would have been
and
big.
I'm having arguments with Mr. Lerner, the chairman at the time, and that might have gelled us together again instead of me throwing my toys out of the pram a couple of months later, Yeah.
What was the best atmosphere? Newcastle, Sunderland, or Rangers, Celtic?
You guys,
It's a tough one as well.
That is a tough one, yeah.
Yeah.
it's a different atmosphere, I found.
Yeah,
out.
it's a
massive
I
derby.
found, I've seen
Because
a
I was,
different atmosphere.
although I supported Sunderland as a kid, I must admit, and that was a big game. I was there. We drew both games. We won at Newcastle my first time, and then we drew at. We should have won at Newcastle, and we got lucky in the game at the Stadium of Light. But the Celtic Rangers game is just something else. Really,
never witnessed anything like that.
It's something else.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah,
every,
atmosphere.
and it's because I'm from Northern Ireland. Brought up as Irish nationalist Catholic, so you know all about it. But Ibrox is a great stadium as well. Great stadium.
Yeah.
So the fixture, and I think it misses out a bit at this minute because the away fans are not allowed in.
Yeah, of course,
Once they get that, rectify that and put it back again. There's a fellow, a friend of mine who wants to come, never been to an Old Firm game, wanted to come up this year, and I said to him, listen, wait until the away fans get back in, then you will really see something.
If you could change one thing about modern football, what would it be? Football today.
You should give me a wee bit of time. Change the... what would it change?
Do you like VAR, Martin? Are you all right with VAR? Does it? No, you're...
Do you know what? Right? It's been going, 6 years now? I still don't know.
6 years?
I really don't know. I don't know. Do you know what kind of irritates me? The boys taking the corner kicks and they taking it
out of the quadrant.
There should be a new rule set in that just for this one. We could say if it's not over the line, then it's not over the line as England won a World Cup. And way back, I just thought I'd throw that one in. And but if I had my rule, I would say that you have to have that ball inside that little
quadrant, yeah.
Like not touching the
Where
line.
did that come from?
touching the line
Sudden.
just for that moment, because it really does irritate me.
The lads they'll take it right to the end.
Right to the edge, so the curve of the ball's cutting the line. Get someone. It's a good one, Martin. I'll change that.
And final question.
No,
let's go for more, Martin.
No, but if I had, and I would. Do you know what I would? I would take the time of the referee out of his hands. So I'd have a clock.
Yeah.
I would have the clock. It would be a bit like they do in rugby.
Yeah,
So
I
they
agree with
stop
that
the
one.
game, and I would.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Yeah.
What about the NFL when you're there? It's like 3 hours 20 for like 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We've been to the Super Bowl. We had a good trip. Went to San Francisco. We had a great few days there with some of the staff.
Yeah. We went, because we qualified for the Euros, we went...
You had some parties.
I know, no wonder it was the best time of his career.
And honestly, it was great.
Best time of his career, Super Bowl, casino.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
I think it was your friend, Rory McIlroy. Rory gave me advice, told me to pack it in. And I did. And I did, No, I didn't. No. I don't know. I remember this, and this is about first couple of weeks I'd never been an apprentice, so I went straight to being a professional player, from being a student overnight to being a professional player. And within a couple of weeks, I was walking down the embankment to go on training, and we had a youth team trainer called Bert Johnson, really nice man. I don't know how the conversation came around, but he was the first one ever to say to me, listen, this game, you know, it's about reputation. He said, you know, honestly, he said, it's perception, reputation. This is going back, late 1971. He said, I'll tell you something. He said, if you get a reputation for being an early riser, you can lie in bed all day. And that's, to me, that's it. It's perception. Honestly.
That is so true.
I like that,
absolutely.
I like that.
Do you?
Yeah, I like
That
that.
is so
Seriously.
true.
Yeah, I like that.
Because you always say
Reputation.
I'm late and I'm actually early. And I've still got the reputation that I'm always late.
There you are.
Yeah, like
Honestly,
me.
it
Same with
sticks.
me. I've got the
Yeah.
same. Roy.
That's George Graham about, right?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's Roy.
I think that's a nice place to finish with
Yeah.
that beautiful piece.
Can I eat this?
Of course you can.
That's what it is.
I've been watching it sat there on that beer mat for about an hour.
I was worried because you kept asking me a question. I thought, I don't want to be munching this. All those things, Neville, that I used to think about. You know, I used to tell Roy, I don't like that twat. I really don't like that.
A lot of people say that.
Fine.
I really, honestly, how can he ever talk about management when he don't know did this? Well, you're fine. Honestly.
You're fine,
You're
girl.
fine.
He's lovely,
Really.
isn't
People
he?
don't realise
A lot of
how
people
lovely.
say that.
You have to meet
Absolutely.
Gary in the flesh. He's
He is
beautiful. I
lovely.
love him.
Fine. He's not beautiful, but it's fine. I will
No, I
not,
mean, it's a beautiful thing.
I'll not go any more than that there,
Do
honestly.
some people not like you?
It's a perception.
Perception.
It's a reputation.
Oh, no, that's not perception. That's true. That is absolutely
We'll
true.
just put that bit.
It's just you're in everything at this minute. I'm expecting you to be reading news at 10 tomorrow. You know, so.